9 o'clock on Saturday evening, and we are live. Welcome to the third episode of Cafe Conversations. The season of autumn takes me back in time, a time when celebration is in the air. Sharad Utsav brings out the roots in us, and along with the white clouds and the kashful, somewhere we connect to the child within us. The child within us used to be waiting in wide eyed anticipation for the celebrations, for the good food, for the new clothes, and the new books. Books were an integral part of any celebration for us. With bated breath, we would wait for the Puja Shankars, and top of our list used to be Anandamala. But is it still so? Do children still crave Anandamala every pujo? Do they still ask for new books along with new clothes? To discuss about the childhood joys of reading, we have with us our special guests this evening, Saheli Mitra and Sharanya Bannerjee. Welcome to the show, Saheli and Sharanya. So excited to have you here. Most of the people watching us, of course, know who both of them are, but just to introduce them, Saheli, Saheli Mitra, content developer, content strategy planner, editor, journalist, author, and poet. Saheli Mitra heads her own content company, Tales, Talks, and Walks, with business interests in India and abroad. She also conducts talk shows with authors, poets, entrepreneurs, and conducts walking tours within the city. Being a passionate nature lover and a traveler mom, Saheli runs a nature group called To Trees with Love, and at leisure weaves words into poetry and short stories. She loves penning down stories for children, a passion that started since her son Chitrak was born 17 years ago. This book contains some such children's bedtime stories. Sharanya Bannerjee. Sharanya Bannerjee, who is also known as Rimli at home, lives in Texas, USA with her family. She's almost 10 years old and will be in fifth grade soon. My Unicorn is a Dove is her debut collection of poetry and stories with which she started writing when she was 8 years old, inspired by her mother, who's also an author. She also loves playing the violin, art and singing, cooking and baking with her dad, making creative things with websites, and listening to music videos on pentatonics. And Sharanya says she's very excited about this book. She'd like to thank all her friends for being supportive and being part of her journey. But the person she'd like to thank the most is her mom, and this book she dedicates to her mother, Lopa Banerjee, a dear friend of ours. We have Anwar Rahim saying, gorgeous show. Thank you, Anwar Rahim ji. And my mother is also here wishing us all hello. Thank you, Ma, for being with us. So, welcome to Cafe Conversations, Sharanya and Saheli. And I'm going to ask my first question to Saheli. Saheli, tell me, you've had a full-fledged career as a journalist. You're an author, translator, editor, biographical writer. What made you delve into a book for children, particularly at a time when the world is going digital and audiovisuals rule the day for children? What made you come up with a book for children?
Thank you, Ipshita, for welcoming me and giving me a chance to talk about the book on your show. Frankly speaking, I still have a child in me. I still read Enid Blyton's, I still read Nancy Drew, I still read Feluda. And, somewhere I find that is the world which keeps me sane. Because the adult world, the adult society which we see right now, not just today, but maybe for the last 10 years or so, it has changed so drastically that it doesn't allow you to live happily. It doesn't give you that peace of mind. Now, this was definitely one point. The other point, what I feel is, because I have been raising a child who will be 18 years next year, throughout his journey, I have realized that gadgets had become very important to them. even for their
True.
studies, even for their education. As a result of which, they were going away from the world of books into which we were there when we were children. You
Exactly.
must be,
So
I
true.
mean, of my generation, so naturally you also know that we did not have any gadgets. So naturally we didn't have a choice. We always read books because that was the best companion. Now,
Absolutely.
even though for my son, I had kept on buying books and I did not give him any gadget till he was in class 8 or 9 when he needed it again for his school, mind you. So, as a result of which, I do have 3 or 4 mini libraries in my different houses because uh, still we have that entire series of Noddy, of, like several other books which I got for him. And he was completely engrossed in that. But that is again something which I found completely missing with his friends in his school. Like for a birthday party, I'm giving you an example. Suppose I gifted people books, his
Mm-hmm.
friends, they
Mm-hmm.
never liked it. Once it so happened, he was in, I think, class 3 or 4, and I had given books to the friend, and he outright said, "Why books? Why couldn't you give me a PSP, this, that?" From that time, I'm
Amazing.
saying. So, yeah, it's
Amazing.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And, but in our childhood, for us, books was more important, right?
That was our favorite gift, both to give and
That
to
was the
receive.
favorite gift. Yeah. And even
Absolutely.
not only as a child, even during marriages, we used to give books.
Actually, absolutely.
Huh? So that
Gito
entire
Bitan.
concept, Gita Bitan, yeah. That is
Totally.
even as prizes, in school prizes. I was in Gokhel Memorial. We used to be given lots and lots of books as
Hmm.
prizes. Our children
Always
don't
book.
get that. Our children get trophies. Our children get medals. Even there are several schools in Kolkata who are giving money as a prize. Can you imagine? No
I can't.
books.
I
Yeah,
can't.
but no, no,
Because
but that is
I've
that
always,
is what that
wow.
is. I'm talking from my real life experience while raising a
Wow.
child.
Wow.
So that's
Wonderful.
why I felt that books are needed for children. Everyone should start writing a book for the kids.
Wow. That was wonderful. I mean, I've only and only got books as my, the prizes from school. So I can't imagine that things have changed so much. But I'll take a moment and say hello to our guests here. Pranay Gupta says, impeccable host, intriguing mix of guests. Thank you so much for joining us, Pranay. My mom, and this is for you, Rimli, says, so young, so talented. Yes, incredibly talented, Rimli. Mrs. here, Shupriya Roy, saying, Saheli Mitra, please remain a child. My blessings. That's Miss Amita D says hello, and Rajarshi says well said. Thank you everybody for joining us. And I allow me to read an excerpt for one of your stories. Saheli, your book is called, of course, The Dog That Never Was and Other Bedtime Stories. And I want to read a bit from The Dog That Never Was.
I'll
Now, as we
just
know,
show if it is possible. Like I don't know whether one can see it.
a little
Uh,
towards the right.
the cover of
Yes,
the book.
yes.
This is the cover.
Absolutely visible. Absolutely visible. Very
Okay, thank you.
bright book. And Kinjalda is here saying hello, Ipshita Di and Saheli Di. Hi, hello, Kinjalda. Lopamudra values her. Lopamudra sends her values to Rimli. So true, Pranay. So true. Thank you all for being here. So, The Dog That Never Was, an excerpt from the book. Just a little summary. This is about Milkha, who's a 9-year-old boy who lives with his mother and grandparents in a Punjab village. His father died young and he loves living with his grandpa on his grandpa's farm with Chinky, his favorite pup. But is Chinky real? If not, how does he turn into one? The story begins. The birds were chirping too loudly this morning. They were worse than the alarm clock. Little Milka caught hold of his bunny pillows and thumped them right onto his ears. He had already missed the cock's crow. He now desperately wanted to stop any sound that could wake him up and, and wake him up completely from his lovely, dreamy slumber. Now that school was closed for Diwali, he was in no hurry to feed his dear chickens. He had no need to rush to the bus stop to catch the school bus with his school bag dangling on one shoulder and a half filled tiffin box popping out of his outstretched arms. Milka was perpetually late for his bus, and the bus driver had, for all these years, kept on incessantly honking at the farm gates, daring to leave without him. And why not? Milka had so much to work on the farm before leaving for school every day. He felt proud to lend a hand on his grandpa's farm. But the prime attraction, of course, was the company of his hanky-panky pup, Chinky. Chinky was 9-year-old Milka's best friend, and barring from school, where Chinky had access to wherever Milka went, and was always a witness to whatever his master said or dreamt. Milka loved the farm and never felt guilty for keeping the bus waiting most of the days. His mother, however, got very angry with him. How come you keep all the other students waiting in the bus? She would often scold, but today was different. On holidays, the little boy followed no routine. He loved his freedom. He woke up late. He went on long strolls with Chinky. He watched all his favorite cartoon and pogo characters. He ate on the fields. And this time round, his family was too busy with the Diwali preparations and hardly bothered him with their usual rules. Diwali meant homecoming for his uncles and aunts and cousins came down, and the otherwise lonely Milka got an opportunity to play around and show them the field and farm proudly. Milka was thus on seventh heaven, brimming with energy and joy. The birds, however, were a spoil sport today. The crows were too naughty at times, pecking each other or mourning the death of some fellow crow in a chorus. Half awake, Milka asked Chinky, "Hey Chinks, what's the time? Can dogs read time?" Of course not. But Milka always visualized Chinky as a human and thought he was smarter than him. But the poor dog never responded. Milka finally sat up, his eyes swollen after a wintry night's long sleep. He looked at the clock beside his bed and he woke up fully alert. Oops, it's past 10 o'clock. Oh my god, if Bunty Dada forgot to feed the hens and ducks, they'd go unfed all morning. Imagination and imagery. Two gifts of childhood so beautifully woven. The way you have described farm life is so visual. And then, of course, Chinky was a creation of Milka's imagination for most of the time, till, of course, Milka got a real pup. Tell me, Saheli, do you think the onslaught of audio-visual medium through apps, etc., is killing imagination and preventing the children from reading?
Yeah, because see, when we were kids, fairy tales,
Yes,
that was completely a world of imagination. That was never
yes,
real. But now, from class 2, class 3, children are like exposed so much to social media, to a lot of other things, because they are having their accounts from class 3, class 2, by changing the data as a
yeah,
different
yeah,
age. They are on
yeah.
WhatsApp, they are on net. So as you know, in net, what happens? Like when you are opening something, all the other kinds, like what should I say? Other sites start popping up right and left. Okay.
So true.
Now they are now they are the sites which these children are not supposed
Yeah.
to see.
Oh
But out
God.
of curiosity, a child's brain is curious. Out of curiosity, there is every chance that they are going to open that site. And
Of
just
course.
imagine for even a 5 or 6 year old, because I remember when my son was in class 5 or 6, there was in this WhatsApp group that some children were passing on porn videos. Can you imagine class 5 and 6
There was this
without
huge
even
scandal
understanding? No, no,
of late,
without
right?
even
Remember with
understanding.
Insta? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, without even
Locker room boys.
understanding what they are doing. They don't
True.
even know what
True.
they are doing. So
True.
the main reason behind that, I will say, is definitely the onslaught, as you have mentioned, and
Mm-hmm.
also not encouraging. Parents don't encourage. I still remember there were parents, there were mothers who used to be so proud when they were kids, saying that my child can handle a computer so well, my child can handle a mobile phone so well, they're so tech savvy. In the name of tech savvy, we are
Mm.
taking away a child from the world of imagination, because we are
Exactly.
giving them gadgets. Even if from the
Exactly.
newborn, even a 6 7 month old child is playing with a gadget, not with a book.
Yeah. The point that I
So
was, I always think, Saheli, is that when you read a line from a book, it's in your mind that you're conjuring up the image. Whereas if you have an image right in front of you, then that's what you're seeing, right? You're not allowing your mind to
absolutely.
fly. But
See,
I
I
have
always
the
wanted
task.
to. Huh.
Yeah.
No, I always wanted to live on a farm because you will observe all the
Yeah.
stories in this book are related to
Yes.
animals. All of
Yes.
them have they have an animal character.
Right.
That is mainly the reason behind my mom used to buy me several farm books because in those days we never got those foreign books, right? They used to come via
Mm-hmm.
ship, if you remember. And once in a while in Newmarket or places like that, you used to get those,
Yeah.
books where they used to pop
Yeah.
up, those pop-up books. They were a big thing
Yes.
for us because we never got
Totally.
it. And they were
Totally.
all animal characters. So,
Right.
that
Of
impact
course.
is still there on me. And I always feel that children can bond with animals the best.
Very true. So, a quick hello to all our guests. Zahid Anis says hello. Hello, Ji. Thank you so much for here. Shorish. Shorish has very kindly shared our program as well and says, hello, madam. How are you? Very well, Shorish. Very happy that you're here. Rituparna Khan says, hi, Ipshita Di. Hi, Saheli Di. Hi, Sharanya. Hi, Ritu. She says she's enjoying the show. My college junior Shishendu Goin, where did he go? He says, I've gifted books not only on birthdays but also in marriages. Exactly. Exactly,
Yeah.
Goopy. We all did. I requested colleagues to gift me books on occasions of departmental farewell. Absolutely. Shishendu, I'm completely with you. I think both Saheli and I come from that generation, and so do you. Shomik Bannerjee is here saying, beautiful show, the joy is childhood reading. Thank you for being here, Shomik. Sanita Basu, good evening, little princess. Saheli, Mitra, and Ipshita. Rajeshi says, imagery is fabulously done. Very true. And extremely well read. Thank you so much, Rajeshi. There's Mr. Kanchan Gurtu, who's also there. Thank you. Amitadi says, imagination takes a backseat in today's children with so much audio visual. Exactly, Amitadi. For example, we in our childhood imagined the characters of fairy tales, but now they view, not imagine. Exactly my point. I so agree with you. Uh, Sanhita Basu says, I still love reading fairy tales. Joydeep Kundu, hello, Joydeep Da. Thank you so much for being here. Says, hi, says hi to all of us. Rajesh Ramnani says hello. Shorish Banerjee says thank you. And Shubhayu says hello to all of us. Great to have you all with us. We were just talking about children without imagination, and I have this very, very special young lady right here. Sharanya Bannerjee, a big hello to you. Very proud to have you with us today. Very proud to have you amidst us. And she's amazing. But I've already introduced her. But I think the best introduction for little Sharanya is through her own work, her creativity, her writings. Um, and I'm going to be reading an excerpt from one of the Sharanya stories called The Secret Key. Her book, of course, is fabulous, and we shall
Can you
come to
show
that.
the book? Can you
Um,
show the book?
yeah, would you show the book? Would you just tell us what the book is called? Sharanya? Yeah, little towards the center, my dear. Yes. Can
So,
everybody see?
your
Yeah.
book's name and what the book is
Tell us
about.
the name of your book. Tell us the name of your book.
The name is My Unicorn is a Dove.
My unicorn is a dove. The name itself is so imaginative. And yeah, Agni says magic of reading should come back to kids. We have responsibility. Yes, Agni. I completely believe, Agni, that we have the responsibility. And that's why this topic today. It's an interesting topic for Saheli, for me, and to have Sharanya is a special joy. Devjani says, hi, my favorite friend. Hi, Devjani. Sanhita says, hi, Sharanya. Sharanya, everybody's wishing you hi. Amitadi says, hi, Sharanya.
Hi.
And Shorish Banerjee says, hello, Sharanya and Saheli Madam. But let us go back to the story from your beautiful book. And this one's called The Secret Key. Hello, I'm Shelby Rock's sixth grader. Last Wednesday, I witnessed something that no one in their right mind in my family would ever believe. I found a secret door. When I was digging through my backyard for a treasure chest, because I wanted to find out if my brother was serious about the pirates, I found something. Not a treasure box, not gold, not silver, or any riches. I was kind of disappointed about that, but an old school 1800s music box. At least I thought it was. I opened it, but it didn't work. Duh! This was here for like 200 years. But as I walked onto the patio, I noticed there was a door. It was locked, obviously, but I thought, back to the book. But I thought, back to the music box, there was a miniature compartment with a key shaped carving on it. I went back to where I put it, and this time I opened the compartment. To my amazement, instead of a key, there was a folded piece of paper. I opened it and it read, "If you want to find my key, then you must first take this quest of a lifetime to find your first clue." My brother interrupted. "Keys, I'm kind of doing something here," I scolded. "Well, I want to have fun," he whined. He snatched the music box right out of my hand. "Hessian Albert da Vinci rocks!" I shrieked. I chased him to the backyard and in the front yard and in the garage, but he did not want to give up. Finally stopped and I snatched the music box back. "Fine, you can have it back, but under one condition." "What?" I yelled, annoyed. "You let me do whatever the thing that you're doing." I hesitated for a moment. "Fine," I sighed. I finally read the rest. "To find your first clue, you must go to the shed." "But we're not allowed to go there," Keith shouted. I looked around. "Let's go," I shouted. I clutched Keith's hand tightly and took off with him. I reached for the door handle, but it seemed to open mysteriously. "Double war," Keith explained. We creeped inside the crooked shed. We dug through about everything in the shed for clues. "No luck. How about you?" I asked, hopeful. "Look, sis, I found something. It's a shoebox." I said, "How is that supposed to?" Just then, it started to glow. "What? I thought magic wasn't real," I stated, confused. "Wait, no, this isn't real. This is all a dream and I need to wake up." I pinched and slapped myself continuously, but they all hurt. "Listen, sis, before you bruise yourself with all that pinching and slapping business over there, I just want you to know that whatever happens on this quest, we're never going to split." I haven't told you this because I think it's kind of embarrassing, but I think that underneath all the yelling that you do, you're actually kind of cool. I mean, you're like one of those detectives on TV shows and movies, but don't you mention that to anybody. You're not going to mention that to anybody, right? "Right," I cheered, excited. From the corner of the eye, I could see what seemed to be glitter pouring through the naked sky. "Really? It had to rain glitter?" Keith whined. A fuzzy wand tickled my back. "Hello, I'm Twinkle, your guidance fairy. I'll give you your location to go to the quest. Any questions?" She handed us a list of names and places that we have never heard of. "Sharanya, you're an extremely, you have an extremely beautiful young mind, imaginative and talented. At a time when most youngsters listen to storytelling, you've become a storyteller yourself. What a wonderful weave of images and characters. Adventures to Giggly Land, The Secret Key. Vivid imagination. You lead us to a land of adventure and happiness with Giggly Donkey and Twinkle. Read us a little bit from the Adventures of Giggly Land, but also after reading it, tell us about how these characters came to you, how you created these stories, how you created these wonderful, absolutely fabulous, magical characters.
First of all, thank you for inviting me to this talk show. I really appreciate it. And
You're most welcome. I'm honored to have you here, Sharanya.
Adventures to Gigglyland. It started off as a normal Saturday morning. I was sleeping wonderfully until my annoying 11-year-old sister woke me up. Wake up, she screamed. I groaned a little, but then I jumped up out of bed because of the sound. Then I quickly, but a little lazily, brushed my teeth and went downstairs to eat breakfast. Today I'm going on an adventure, I excitedly said. Yeah, right. That's not possible. my sister snarled, confused. I ran downstairs to eat breakfast. I gobbled up my breakfast. What's the rush? My mom asked. I replied, going on an adventure. Are you? She asked in suspicion. I ran upstairs and then I heard an unusual sound. I rushed to my room and heard it in my closet and creak! I opened up the closet and somehow laughed. Confused, I said, wait a minute. What is a funny looking donkey doing in my closet? I laughed and giggled and laughed until I couldn't anymore. Hello, I am Giggly Donkey. Now that's just crazy, I said, even more confused. Come on, come with me to the amazing land of Giggly. I will annoy you until you come. Snort, 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 the donkey said. Okay, I replied. The donkey pulled out a tricycle out of my pants drawer. The donkey actually rode the tricycle. Anyways, I started seeing swirls around me. We finally arrived. But the place looked weird, kind of like a death trap. He turned around and was like, what happened? Or, I can't believe this. I felt bad for that donkey. Everything was burnt. We have to save this place, he said. I saw someone and pointed to him and said, I think it's him.
Tell me, how do you weave these magical characters? Where do you pick them out from? How do you come up with this fantastic, beautiful story?
Actually, when I was writing this story, I kind of had no idea what to write about because I felt like I already had written everything that I could. But then I thought back to one of the movies that I watched. It was Shrek, and I thought about how funny the donkey was in that in the movie. So I wanted to create my own version of that. So I pictured myself into this world of amazing, weird stuff, and I thought that it would be really funny to include a donkey in there. And I wanted myself to be in that own land. So when I wrote this story, I wrote myself going to this land. And after I wrote this, I submitted it to this writing contest, and I got an honorary mention.
Yes. May you always keep creating this beautiful fantastic fantasy land. May you always, all through your life, just live your life like a beautiful adventure and keep entertaining the rest of the world with your beautiful adventures so that we all be a part of your adventure land. And Rajashri says, this is so cute and beautiful. Thank you, Rajashri. My mom says, nicely read. Thanks, Mom. Sanhita says, excellent and beautiful. My mom says, nice story. Rituparna says, lovely. Amita Di says, beautiful story. Sharanya, indeed. Sharish Bannerjee says, you have good talent. That's for you, Sharanya. And I think this is your mom, Saheli. Madhu Giti Mitra Mashi.
Yeah.
Uh, she
Yeah.
says, lovely, indeed. Sarish Banerjee says, go ahead. That's my mom says, amazing imagination, indeed. Sanita says, such an extraordinary talent. God bless you, my child. And Pranay says, child in me. I admire that spirit of Saheli's childlike wonder. So important as a key value for all I admire. Sharanya's eloquence and depth. Very nice juxtaposition of guests on Akita. Pranay, thank you so much. He was my guest for Cafe Conversations episode 2, and it was a lovely, lovely chat. And thank you for being part of this particular chat as well. So, Saheli, most of the stories in your collection leaves the reader with a message, a certain value message. If Rahul, the animal lover, talks about hating his sister dissecting animals and finally convinces the sister to release them, and Rani releases all the bonded animals of the circus in your story entitled After Freedom, you uphold animal rights and love for animals. In To Grandpa with Love, you speak about the need to honor and love the aged. Let me read an excerpt from that story, A Grandpa with Love. And after that, I would like you to tell us about the erosion of value system. Is there an erosion of value system today? Is there a need to reiterate it? But first, let me read out a bit from To Grandpa with Love. Grandpa, will you teach me how to fly a jet? Grandpa, how did you defeat your enemies during the war? Numerous queries that 8-year-old Tuban had for his 78-year-old grandpa. A war veteran, having served in the Indian Army for many years, Mr. Basu loved entertaining his dear grandson's curiosity. He never felt tired. Tuban was his grandfather's best friend, and both loved spending their afternoons talking and laughing in each other's company despite the age difference. It was a dear old relationship that both cherished. For Mr. Bose, who still kept himself strong and fit, retired life was pretty lonely. After his wife died, he wanted to go to an old age home where he would have friends to talk to. His daughter Joita had been married off in Canada, and son Bhaskar and his wife were busy professionals who came home late. He felt lonely at home. But Bhaskar did not like the idea of his father staying separately, and his wife Millie felt that in their absence, at least the father in law will be able to look after Tuban. It's pretty difficult to get a reliable person, Millie told her husband. If Baba is there, he can take care of Tuban when we are both out. Bhaskar was quite shocked at his wife's idea and realized that she wanted his father to stay back only because he could take care of their son when they were not at home. However, he didn't protest, and Grandpa also felt like staying back for his grandson, although he knew his daughter in law did not much like Tuban spending too much time with him. Like most modern moms, Millie felt Grandpa's affections will hamper Tuban's studies. But Mom's attitude had little impact on Grandpa grandson relationship. Both looked forward to their afternoons when Tuban would return from school, put down his school bag, have a bath, and rush to the old man's room. There'd be no one at home to disturb them, and they would talk and talk and talk and talk. Grandpa loved telling stories of demons and princes and princesses, fairy tales that he heard from his mom when he was a child. But Tuban would immediately object. Tell me tales of war. How did you defeat your enemies? He would shout. And Grandpa would say, Tuban, you should love everyone. Never think of war. It happened in our time, but it was a mistake. Beautiful tale about grandfather grandson bonding and the message of peace over war. Tell us more. Tell us more about the value erosion, why you find it important to reiterate value systems through your stories, and tell us more about the genesis of these gorgeous tales. Saheli?
Well, Ipshita, I mean, at least I feel some of you will agree with me that we are living in a society that is highly self centered and highly selfish. I can just use these two adjectives. And I have felt it at every point of my life, as I said, for the last 10, 12 years. I will not say I felt it in my childhood days. I will not say I felt it in my college days because the society was pretty different then. And even neighbors would rush, would come to your house. One sec, Ipshita and Sharanya, if you can put the audio off because there are certain sounds which are coming in between. Yeah, thank you, Sharanya. I think Sharanya's audio was creating a trouble. Ipshita, you can put it on. Your one was not creating. Now, as a result of which, I felt and I still feel that whatever activism we do, whatever shouting we do on Facebook, this, that, and others, it doesn't help because our core values have been eroded to a large extent. We
Mm-hmm.
cannot expect a society to move forward in a proper manner if the core values get eroded. Why do I
So
say
true.
so? Because I am writing about we are talking today about children, right? We are also
Absolutely.
talking today, the whole of India is talking today about rape.
Yeah.
Have we ever asked ourselves what is at the base of it? Have we ever asked ourselves that why 16, 17-year-old rapists have gone up so much.
Mm-hmm.
Have we asked ourselves why teenage boys are raping even their classmates? We haven't. The minute something happens, we politicize it, we try to shout about it, media is there everywhere, it will continue for the next 15, 20 days. After that, again, everyone will forget it.
So
But we are
true.
not going into the depth of the issue. We are not going into the depth of the problem. The problem
So,
is we have become highly self-centered. Unless and until that rape happens in my own home, I don't care how I'm raising my son. We are
mm,
talking about women empowerment, but in the name of women empowerment, we are teaching small young girls, because my son is in a Kuwait school, mind you. That is the reason why I know the whole
mm-hmm.
issue. We are teaching girls that you have to hit a boy if the boy even tries to talk to you. Why? Why are we teaching girls to be so antagonistic towards every boy they find? Every man is not a
Distortion.
rapist. Yeah,
Exactly.
every man is not a
Distortion.
rapist. You know what my son says? My son says, "Oh my God, I'm not going to speak to any girl." Who knows? 2 days later, that girl will say that I was trying to molest her. So, can you imagine what the boys are also thinking? We are not thinking it
Distortion.
in that way.
Yeah.
Completely a distorted society, a distorted
Yeah.
way of thinking. And again, I'm saying it will start from the childhood. We had a fantastic childhood, Ipshita. We always
Yes, we
lived
did.
in imagination. We never
True.
we never knew how sex is done even till the class 10, class 12, right? Nowadays, you get sex education fine. I have no issues about it. From class 8, from class 9, you give the sex education. Fantastic. But how? How do you give it? Along with the sex education, you are exposing each and every child from the age of class 5, 6 to porn videos. It is all over there on the net. Anyone can see it. As a result of which, their entire concept, a boy's entire concept of a female body is distorted, I'm telling you. Biology is not being taught in the proper way, because I am a student of biology, right? I did my MSc in zoology and environmental biology. When my son came to me during adolescence and spoke about each and every part of a female body, I spoke about it in a completely biological manner, and he also knows in a completely biological manner. For him, it is not perversion.
Hmm.
For him, it
So
is
you
not
believe,
perversion.
so
No, that
you
is why I
seriously
believe that a
believe in the
child, no,
erosion?
not only erosion, Ipshita, I have one point to make here. Maybe a lot of people will not agree to it, because nowadays everything is a herd mentality, like what the other is saying, I have to say that. But the
Hmm.
point is, I believe that too much of exposure of children to
Hmm.
such movies, you know, if you see a Hindi movie, you imagine the Hindi movies of our days. They showed love
Hmm.
scenes, they showed everything. But did they
Hmm.
show titillations? Did every camera point to every part of a female body which is actually being used as a sexual object? Did
Hmm.
every song need to be an item number?
True.
It did.
True.
So, the minute every child is getting exposed to that, how can you expect, like, a child is not reading a book like Sharanya, just imagine, she's still in that age of imagination. She's in class
Hmm.
5, mind you.
Hmm.
It is not that she's not exposed otherwise. Every child will
Hmm.
be exposed otherwise. My son has also been exposed otherwise to so many things. He knows much more than I do. I'm talking about rape and sex and everything. But despite that, because he has read books, he still
Hmm.
loves to, like watch Bomkesh. He still loves to listen to Feluda. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is, you cannot stop a child from watching. My mother always used to say that you cannot stop a vice from entering by shutting down the windows. You watch
True.
everything. I watched Mackinner's Gold, where there was a naked scene with my father sitting right beside me when I was a child. We didn't have any problem. We didn't have an
I
issue.
think I think perspectives is what we kind of you know think about. Perspectives is what is important.
Overexposure
And
also.
perspectives,
Ipshita,
yeah,
overexposure also, and wrong
yeah,
exposure.
yeah, yeah.
Overexposure and wrong exposure.
Yes, so true. So therefore, your stories definitely talk a lot about value systems and reiterate those value systems. I will basically say hello to a lot of other guests over here. Reshmi is my friend from university. She says very talented young lady, and that's for Sharanya. Antara Nanda Mandal. I think Antara is, she's the one who's done your book, right? Blue Pencil. She's here. And thank you, Antara, for being here. She says, wonderful, Sharanya, blessings. Gopa is here. She says, I'm in Saheli, Mitra, Lopa, Bannerjee. Yeah. Oh my God, we've got lots and lots of guests over here. Let me just quickly try and read that. Bodhayanda, thank you, Bodhayanda. Here, like the potential writer in the child. I have lost Rimli. She needs to get in. Shubha, okay. Santosh ji says hello. I hope Rimli is getting in. I'll quickly have to get Sharanya back. This is unfortunate. Let's hope she comes back soon. Shubha Sharkar says, heartiest congratulations to all of you. Rajesh says, aren't we to blame for erosion of our values? Just a moment. Yeah, she's back. Rimli, I was really worried. We lost you and I was really worried. We're so glad to have you back. Okay, so Rajesh says, aren't we responsible, aren't we to blame for erosion of our values? Shorish Banerjee says, really well said, Saheli, madam. True. Devjani says, so true, Saheli. Rajesh says, well said, Saheli. Sanhita Basu says, absolutely true, Saheli Mitra. Shubhoda. Shubha Sharkar says, wonderful discussion, Saheli. Sarish Banerjee says, 100% true. Then Gopa says, well said. Manik Lal Ghosh said, well said, Saheli. Gopa says, Rimli, I wanted to read one of her stories. Gopa, darling, you just missed that. She did. My father says, very interesting. Shubhoda says, overexposure is right. Tamilaraji, watching from Bahrain. Lopa Banerjee invited me to be here. Shubhoda, I'm so glad you're here. Gopa says, Saheli, read one of your stories. Yes, she will. Anwar Rahim says, Saheli Mitra, talking reality. This menace has to be given attention by psychologists, government, and health ministry at the highermost levels to change at primary school level and above, educating children every aspect of it. And Shubhada says, waves to Sharanya and says, hi, Sharanya. And I'm going to go back to you, Sharanya. Sharanya, if I found your stories fascinating, I found your poetry mind-blowing, my dear. Absolutely spectacular, mind-blowing. You know what I did, right? The night that I was reading your storybook, I called up your mom late at night US time, and it was early morning here. And I said, where is she? Tell her that she's got a fan, Mashi. So I've become like your number one fan. And I adore your poetry. I totally adore your poetry. Yeah. Let me read two of your poems, and then you read two poems, okay? And let me read two of your poems first. And for my audience, Sharanya writes 3 haikus. The first one, winter. Snowflakes are falling into a blanket of snow with driveways covered. I repeat. Snowflakes are falling into a blanket of snow with driveways covered. Second haiku, Thanksgiving. The savory smell fill up the room quickly, so bon appetit. The savory smell fills up the room quickly, so bon appetit. And the third one, Rimli, incidentally, cupcakes are my favorite too. Her third haiku is called Cupcake. The very sweet taste with a petite striped candle, fluorescent light shines. The very sweet taste with a petite striped candle, fluorescent lights shine. Wow. You have the 575 syllable. You have the 3 lines. How do you do it? Grown-ups struggle with the syllable pattern. And you've just created the images so easily, so beautifully, and so perfectly. Your second poem, which I'm going to read, is an acrostic. Family. Family is an important part of life, and it's tough to live without it. My sister mostly. I sometimes say, I hate you, or something like that to her. Little does she know that I never really mean it. Yet I feel that every time I fall, it's because of them that I get up. How beautiful. And acrostic, of course, is a poem where each line begins and then the line itself forms a word. And you've written more than one acrostic. You've written beautiful formats in your book of poems. I am amazed at the talent and the imagination and the beautiful way that you have written your poems. Um, wow. How do you do it? Do you enjoy trying out these poetry forms, Sharanya?
Yes, I do enjoy writing these types of poetry because whenever I write a new poem, I I am free to do absolutely anything I want with it. So that's why it's so easy to do a poem. And I also really like poems because there's so many ways that you could write a poem. It could be blank verse, it could be rhyming, it could be acrostic,
Haiku.
there could be haikus. It's just there's
Couplets also
yeah,
you've
and
done.
couplets.
Yeah.
So all of since there's so many things that you can do with poetry, I wrote a lot of it because you I tried doing as much as I could with them.
And
Uh, it's amazing. It's amazing that someone who's not even 10 years old can come up with these
she will
beautiful.
be 10 in this 14th. Bolo, 14th
I
of
know, I
August.
know. Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah, so she's not even 10, she's just barely 10. And she's written these, not only has she written poetry, she's written poem in perfect formats. She's experimented with formats and made wonderful, wonderful poetry out of that. And that is something that is kudos to you, my child. And now I'm going to read another poem. Why don't you read two poems, and then I will read a very favorite poem of mine from your book. But before I read another poem, why don't you read two poems?
Which one do you want to read? This art so great. Now the last.
Okay.
While Rimli chooses her poem, Sharanya chooses a poem. Let me read out some comments. Okay, so Shubhoda says, thank you, Ipshita Ganguly. Wow, simply awesome. Thank you, Shubhoda, for being here. Sharanya says, I needed, darling, abundance of love and blessings and happiness. My mother says, beautiful. Shubhoda says, cupcakes is favorite too. My yummy cheers, Sharanya. Sarish Banerjee thinks, I think you should spread your voice all over India. Saheli madam and Ipshita madam. Yes, Sarish. Thank you for saying that. And Shubhoda says, family, what new concept, dear? Wonderful, Sharanya. Gopa says, ki talented. Shubhada says, ki kochisha mamma. Pranay says, this session has not just literary charm and a certain innocence, but key insights into core values. Sharanya is delightful in her expression. Sahili is candid and a voice for values. Ipshita, you manage a lovely connection with all, penetrating and charming. Thank you, Pranay. That means very much to me. But Sharanya, let's have two of your poems, two poems from your book.
So the first poem I'm going to read is The Little Mermaid Not So Happily Ever After, which is inspired by the twist in the tale in Roald Dahl's poem Cinderella that I discovered when my mom read the poem to me. And then they lived happily ever after. Every single story ends with those 7 words. Although sometimes that doesn't actually happen, and that's for sure. However, this couple was perfect at first. Things soon changed. So don't say I didn't warn you as you read this tale of shame. Ariel and Prince Charming were getting along for a little while, but after their second anniversary, Ariel found out a secret. Prince Charming was a mermaid hunter, and then she had it. She kicked and screamed and bawled a little, but the prince didn't know what was going on. She asked, How could you? How could you do this? Then the prince tried to apologize, but by then she was gone. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Lovely. I love that, tongue in cheek little ending. Don't say I didn't warn you. I loved it. Read us another one, Baba. Read us another one, Rimli.
Mom.
Okay.
Mom.
The second poem that I'm going to read is Mom, which is an acrostic poem. My favorite parent, out of this world mom, the best parent in history, has a great talent extraordinary writer, remarkable cook. Wondering why? I'm not gonna lie. My mom is quite fun. When the sky turns dark and the moonlight shines, she is like the sun.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm going to read out another poem from your book. Okay. And I think this one's my favorite out of your poems. It's The Coronavirus Pandemic, the World in 2020. Shelves wiped out of local grocery stores. Personal hygiene seems to be more important than the earth. The demand of everyday food increases by millions. But are we thinking? The virus is making us mad. Our caution has taken over our empathy. We are killing trees that selflessly gave us oxygen. We are taking oil from the depths of the sea ground for plastic. But are we thinking? Mother Nature gives us her all. She provides us not only with air, water, and food, but the songs of quails, the beauty of greens, and the crisp breeze. Yet people ignore her and try to destroy her. But are we thinking? Mother Nature and Earth, can you hear me? Please try and stop Corona. For everyone who's like me, will cherish your gift forever and fight for you, no matter what the cost might be. Sharanya. This is such a sensitive poem from someone who's so young. You're pleading for a better earth. You're asking us to think. And you're pledging that you and your generation will do anything for it, whatever the cost. This poem should really shake us up. What are we grown ups doing? What have we done? Are we thinking? Take a bow, Sharanya. And just to go back to our audience, Shubhada says, awesome, Sharanya. Wow, that's an expression of gratitude, Sharanya. Yes, that was for your mom. Rajesh, she says, wow. Shubhada says, nature's love. I love it, Mama. And I love it too. I love all your poems, but this one is just, it just completely shook me up. Saheli, aren't you going to read an excerpt from your book?
I don't
Two
have it in
parallels?
front of me.
Oh,
Actually, I
Lord.
don't have it
Okay.
in front of me.
Okay, okay, okay. So, do tell us about the process of writing for children. I mean, when a child writes for other children, the connection is easier. When an adult writes for children, how difficult it is to connect as a child.
See, for me, it's not difficult at all because since almost 20 years back, I started writing children's stories. It's not that I've started writing it now.
Hmm.
And we had this telekids section in Telegraph
Yes, we
where,
did. We did.
yeah, many of my stories had gone there, were published there. And even today, when I write, you'll see the last story is a ghost dog story that I wrote
Yes.
just, just a few months back because I
Hmm.
wanted to create a ghost series, where everyone was a ghost. I mean, starting from the dog to, again, I'm telling you why I wanted to do that because there was this Canterville ghost which I think we had in our textbooks
Yes.
when we
Yes.
were in school.
Mm-hmm.
And that had impacted me so much. I think in class 8 or 7 or 9 I had it. I exactly don't remember, but it had impacted me so much. It was a
Mm-hmm.
ghost of a different, so much of it was there in a ghost story. It was not a ghost story actually. It again carried a message.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's easier for me because still have a child in me.
Mm-hmm.
I have still not grown up. I don't want to grow up because I hate the grown up world. I still love children. My mom has a children's school, which is in our house itself. So I am always there surrounded by children. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic for the last few months, the school is not on. But otherwise, my house is constantly filled with the giggles and
That's
shouts and
lovely.
laughter and cries of children. So,
That's
I
lovely.
have always found that their world is the real world. It is not our world because we are always, like wearing a mask.
True. I agree.
We don't like that's more of a reason why in Sharanya's I was just observing the way she has written the haiku, the way she has written this poem
Yeah.
also, which just
Yeah.
read. No, the
Yeah.
way she is visualizing a pandemic is not the
Yeah.
way we are visualizing it, right?
True.
So a
True.
child's
True.
world, I should say, is the best world. For me, it
Very
is a huge stress buster, living in
true.
that
Very
child's
true.
world. When I'm
Very true.
pushing myself into that, when I'm thinking of our Ladybird books, when I'm thinking about
Yeah.
Enid
Ladybird
Blyton,
books.
Famous Five, Secret Seven,
Secret
Wishing Chair,
Seven.
Secret Seven, I feel so
Mallory
de-stressed. You
Tars.
won't believe.
Remember?
Mallory Tars. Yes,
Mallory
I
Tars.
always wanted to be in a boarding school.
Right, of course, of course. And
Yeah,
Little Women.
so
I love that book, Little
Little
Women,
Women,
also.
of course.
Noddy
Even the other
series.
day I
Oh
was
my God.
watching Naughty series,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And every book
And
had a meaning to it, attached to it, every
কেন
book.
বাংলা বইগুলো আমার তো আনন্দমালা একদম ফেভারিট এখনো
Achha,
পুজো সংখ্যা মানে আনন্দমালা but
achha.
all the comics that we read but I mean just all the
Nonte
childhood
Fonte,
stories
Batul the Great. I mean, we
এই
used
তো
to not
এই তো
get কখন নন্টে ফন্টেটা আসবে, কখন বাটুল দি গ্রেট আসবে,
exactly
we
exactly
lived in that world, and maybe because of that আমাদের সময় complications were much less
কম
than
সোনার
what
কাঠি
we see
রূপোর
today.
কাঠি
Huh?
আমাদের ঠাকুমার
And we
ঝুলি কি
believed it.
খুশি বলতো
Thakur Manjuli, and we
exactly
believed it. The best
we
part of it
believed
is
it.
we
We
believed
believed
it.
it. So true.
Huh?
So true. Very true. Very true. So Gopa says, lovely, very mature writing. That is for Sharanya, of course. My mom says, wonderful, Sharanya, bless you. Shubho that says, my sincere respect to you, Sharanya, darling. You'll be the role model for a new generation. Mwah. I agree with Shubhoda. I completely second Shubhoda that you should be the role model for the new generation. Santosh D is here and says it's a beautiful book. Santosh D has written, as always, everything Santosh D writes, I love because I think she's love personified. She's written a beautiful blurb on this book. It's absolutely wonderful. Maniklal Ghosh says, excellent show. Childhood joys. Yes, thank you. Childhood joys exist mostly in imaginary world. So true, Mr. Ghosh. শুভদা says অবশ্যই শিশু বিভাগকে আমাদের সকলের সামনে তুলে ধরার কর্তব্য আমাদের সকলের আমাদের পরের প্রজন্মে পরিচিতির প্রয়োজন Saheli খুব ভালো লাগলো শুভদা says childhood friend from childhood education childhood ambience is full of happiness Shorish Banerjee is facing a network problem Miss as in Shipriya Roy Mrs. Roy says শিশু সাথী মৌচাক আমার ছোটবেলার সাথী ছিল হ্যাঁ মিস সত্যি তাই শুভ শুভদা says অরণ্যদেব শুক্তারা Russian book so true Shorish says my favorite Feluda evergreen I'm really really appreciative of the audience involvement they're chatting with us and that's why my episode my talk show is called Cafe Conversations I'm really really thankful for all the audience comments over here um, going back to Sharanya. Sharanya, you're the daughter of a prolific writer. How much of a role did she have in birthing this book? From guiding you to write, to making the manuscript with your lovely artwork, helping you with the publisher. How inspired are you by her? Why don't you say a few words about that? And maybe then Lopa can also come in and talk to us a little bit. I would like to hear both from you about your mother's role in guiding you and inspiring you and helping you with getting the book together. And then I'd like to hear about Lopa, about the genesis of this book and Lopa's role in it. Sharanya?
Well, my mom played a really big role in this book. If I didn't have her, then this book wouldn't be a thing. Because my mom, as most of you know, she's also a writer, so I was inspired by her because she has written so many books and been a part of so many books that I wanted to follow in her footsteps and write a book as well. So
Lovely. And where is your mom? Can we see your mom for a bit? Lopa?
Hi.
Hey, Lopa. Hi.
In the background this time.
Yes,
No, you
today it's
stay,
about your daughter.
Yeah, you stay
But
outside.
yeah, both of you. I'm sure you can. Lopa can just yeah, yeah. There you are, Lopa. Tell us about I'm going to ask this question and then I'm going to.
I
Maybe you
think
could
we
just put
both are
Ringley on your
almost
lap.
in the same
Yeah,
screen.
you're perfectly visible. Just stay where you are. You're perfectly visible. So Lopa, tell us. I mean,
ম্যাক্সিমাম
Sharanya's.
কিন্তু ও নিজে নিজেই করেছে অ্যাকচুয়ালি। আমার যে
She's just 10 years
রোলটা ওর
old.
পরে এসছে, মানে
Yes.
stringing the points together, it happened from, I think most of it has to do with her school where the poetry writing projects were going on, because এখানে তো জানিস, I have already told you that unlike our times when we used to only mug up things, এইখানে কিন্তু একটু ক্রিয়েটিভ রাইটিং করায়, ঠিক আছে, স্কুল লেভেল থেকেই করায়। যেরকম ওর দিদি, আমার
Lovely.
বড় মেয়েও কিন্তু এখন মানে অ্যাক্টিভলি স্টোরি রাইটিং করছে। তো
And
মানে
Mithi is
ডিফারেন্ট
incredibly
পার্সপেক্টিভস, ডিফারেন্ট
talented
ভয়েসেস,
also.
এক্সপেরিমেন্টস ইন ক্রিয়েটিভ রাইটিং এরা কিছুটা হলেও করায়। সো দ্যাট কেম
Exactly.
অ্যাজ দ্য সিড অফ দিস বুক। তারপরে অবভিয়াসলি আমি কিছু কিছু ওকে মানে আমাকে ও লিখেছে, লিখে দেখিয়েছে, and I gave my inputs, some
Of
lines
course.
here and there, but mostly 90% কিন্তু she did it on her own. But then ওগুলোকে, even compilation also, for her age, like when she compiled them together, she was not yet 10. ওর তো 10 years এর বার্থডে আসছে এই 14th, but যখন when the book was compiled together, she was 9.5, and I did not expect her to compile everything. আমি ওকে বলেছিলাম, বাবু তুমি জাস্ট লিখে রাখো, পরে আমি কম্পাইল করব, but then she did the task. 80-85% of the task she did. আমি কি করেছি, জাস্ট ওগুলোর ভেতরে যে ছোট ছোট এডিটিং, ভেরি মাইনর, ওইগুলো, বিকজ দ্য বুক ওয়াজ পাবলিশড বাই ব্লু পেন্সিল and by Antara Nanda Mandal of Blue Pencil, and she's a very good friend. You all know about my
Yeah.
association with Blue Pencil and learning and creativity. Ekdom
Yeah.
first 2 poems were published in learning and creativity. I did that for herself because I wanted to give her a platform. এবারে ও যখন
Yeah.
পুরোটা, when she compiled everything, আর পেছনে আমি অনেক পড়েছিলাম, because in between কি হয়, laziness আসে, because she is a child, she sometimes gets carried away by other things, other activities, and she did not give her like absolute concentration. Then again she came back to it. Then
Yeah.
একবার তো মনে আছে, I had a massive showdown with her, যে তুমি যদি এটা না করো তাহলে কিন্তু এই বইটা হচ্ছে না, forget about it. তো তাতে হয়তো ওর কিছু স্ট্রাইক করেছে, because মানে somewhere deep down within herself she also wanted this publication to happen, because মানে তোমার কি মনে হয় রিমলি, you wanted validation for your work, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So after a point, then we all, both of us unanimously agreed that this book needs to see the light of the day. Then she did some illustrations. We picked the choicest ones among them, and then we compiled it. আর যখন লকডাউনটা হলো, এই যে after the coronavirus pandemic, my book also came out, All That Jazz, in the Kindle
All the
form,
jazz.
and then I encouraged her to get it done around the same time, so that it would be a reminder for us both, mother and daughter, to stay creative and to exhibit our creativity. And this, like, what better way to do it than by publishing both our works. And Blue
Lovely.
Pencil was, মানে আমি খুবই ওদের কাছে grateful that they did a wonderful job of publishing both our books in Kindle, and both our books are also coming in paperback. And Rimli did fantastic illustrations. Mane, I would like to give a shout out to the entire team, the designing team of Blue Pencil, including Antara. Each and every page you will find wonderful illustrations which you won't find in the Kindle version. So
I actually want to talk a little bit about the illustrations, because that I haven't spoken about. I mean, I don't know what will come out, and you keep saying that even informally the other day on phone you were telling me.
পেপারব্যাকটা মানে তোদেরকে দিতে চাই অ্যাকচুয়ালি, যে ওরা এত সুন্দর ইলাস্ট্রেশন গুলো করেছে, each and every page has illustrations.
Even on the Kindle version, even the Kindle version is so beautiful. The illustrations just add a little chamak and spark to it.
আর আমার বড় মেয়ে মিঠি অ্যাকচুয়ালি কভারটা অনেকটা করেছে, সেটাকে একটু
Mithi
পলিশ করেছে ব্লু পেন্সিল টিম.
Hugely talented, because she does the video editing and all of that, so I know she's incredibly talented. But yeah, I did want to tell you, Lopa, that I've read your work. Of course I've read your work, and I've read your daughter's work, Sharanya's work, and Sharanya certainly has a very unique style.
Because I wanted the world to know that what legacy I'm keeping. মানে একদিন তো আমাদের চলে যেতে হবে, but we want the world to be beautiful for them. And not only world ki kore beautiful hobe if they don't keep their minds active, creative, and indulge in creativity actively. If they don't do that themselves, how can we
Hmm.
expect a better world for
Very
them?
true.
So like
What?
charity begins at home, তো আমি বাড়ি থেকেই শুরু করতে চেয়েছিলাম। দেখা যাক, after this another work she has done is write a rhyme as a narrative poem for yet another anthology in which I will also
Wonderful.
contribute. So that will be our
Wow.
first mother daughter work. Let's see.
How lovely. How
And
lovely.
my
No, but
older
what I
daughter, elder daughter is in filmmaking. ও খুব ছোট ছোট films বানাতে ভীষণ ভালোবাসে. So that is
excellent.
her way of expressing herself. তো এইগুলো
So what I
থাকুক
wanted
আমি।
to,
And I also
what
want
I
to
want,
congratulate Saheli for her book. আমি অবশ্যই পড়বো। Saheli মাসিকে congratulate করেছো। She wrote a
Thank
children's
you,
book. I
Lopa.
want
Thank you,
Hindi and Mitra to
Sharanya.
read the book also. Amazon.com থেকে অবশ্যই নেব।
Yeah, sure.
হুম হুম।
Sure, sure,
so what
sure.
I wanted to tell you, Lopa, is the
Thank
fact
you.
that yes, I have read your work and I've read Sharanya's work, and Sharanya's work has a unique flavor.
No,
I
but
mean,
I
of course,
didn't
she's
get the chance
inspired.
yet to write about children. I want to do it, but আমার লেখাগুলো ভীষণ adult হয়ে যায়. So that is a
Right.
thing I
Oh,
want to change with
so
my next
তোর
work.
লেখা
Yeah, I have
তোর
sworn to
লেখা
keep
আর
up
ওর
with
লেখার
her.
মধ্যে
তো
খুব তফাৎ আছে, because ওর কিন্তু ওর নিজের স্টাইলে লেখে, which is what
একদম
I
নিজের
like.
স্টাইল,
I
হ্যাঁ।
mean,
সেই
it's
জন্যই
not that
বললাম না,
it's
I
not
didn't intervene at all because I thought it is
right.
very pivotal that she finds her own voice. Maybe she
I
will struggle,
agree
she
with
will
you.
stumble, but in the process she will
Hmm.
learn editing. আর ওদের স্কুলে জানিস তো, they encourage teaching editing from a very young
Wow.
age. ওরা
Wow.
এডিটিং জানে,
Wow.
তুই ওকে জিজ্ঞেস কর এডিটিং, she will tell you what editing is. আমরা কিন্তু জানতাম না
Most
এগুলো, we didn't
most
have that exposure
importantly,
at all.
what I find in Sharanya and what I appreciate is the fact that she has a unique voice. That she doesn't write in your style. She doesn't. She's completely unique in her own way, and that I think is a very good job by
Yeah,
you
partly
and by
because she is a
Sharanya.
child, she has a child's voice. Maybe when
No,
she
but
will
it's
grow
very
up, she
it
will. But I want to
it
find,
would be
want her to find her unique voice.
yeah, because it would be very easy to copy your style, but she doesn't do it. Her style is very different from yours, and I'm very appreciative. And her thought process is very different, and that's apparent for
Yeah,
anybody
you
who's
know
read your work and
the
her work.
coronavirus pandemic poem that you read out from her.
Right.
ও কিন্তু এটার inspiration হচ্ছে Sharanya, you didn't tell. You had made a video on that subject when the lockdown just happened. I made her appear for a set of questionnaire, and very
Mm-hmm.
spontaneously she answered everything in her usual voice, you know, like ও একটু পাকা, হ্যাঁ, precocious একটু as a child. তো সেই
Oops.
এটা থেকে আমি ওকে আদর করে পাকুবুড়ি ডাকি এই জন্য। তো ও কিন্তু ওই ভিডিওটা বানিয়েছিল পুরো নিজে নিজে, তারপরে ওর দিদি ওটা ভিডিওটা এডিট করেছিল। মাই এল্ডার ডটার ইজ ভেরি গুড ইন এডিটিং। তো ওইটা থেকে she got the inspiration to write the coronavirus poem. I wanted
Lovely.
her to tell, but since she forgot, I just wanted to add this bit.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Lopa. Thank you for coming on. Let me just go through the comments a little bit. Shubhoda says, কোনো কথা হবে না ইপসিতা, যাকে বলে, যাকে আমি বলবো ঝাক্কাস। Thank you, Shubhoda. Acha. Then Gopa says, lovely. Bodhanda says, where's Bodhanda's comment? Oh my God, there's so many comments. We're happy to hang up school wall magazines at her age. So true, Bodhanda. I was also amazed. Very mature writing, but along with maturity, there's also the childlike wonder in her writing. Shubhoda says, সত্যি সমৃদ্ধ হচ্ছি, চলতে থাকুক। চিক চিক to happy birthday, girl. Cheers. Well, in advance. Yes, happy birthday in advance from all of us, dear Sharanya.
আচ্ছা ও কি
Shahansha ji says hello. And Shubhada says, smart girl, cheers, beta. Shubhada said, very well said, Logan Banerjee. What a wonderful mythology. Okay. Then Shorish Banerjee says, beautiful Sharanya should create a beautiful world. Rajesh Ramnani says, very talented Sharanya. She has a great future. Very true. She has. Let's all good
Thank
wishes,
you.
Baba. And I'll come back to Saheli now. Saheli, bedtime stories are important. They calm children down and leave a thought with them even as they go to sleep. We've all grown up with fantastic bedtime stories like Cinderella, Ugly Duckling, or Takuma Julie. It's etched in our hearts. Will we see more children's stories from your end? And tell us about the genesis of this book and your journey with it.
Yeah, most stories in the sense like, as you know, running your own company becomes you also run your own company. You're an entrepreneur right now. It becomes very difficult when you have your own company. It is not as difficult when you do a job, because when I did a job, my earned leave and CLs meant an earned leave and CL. I had the
Mm-hmm.
time to devote to myself. My off days meant off days. But when you run your own show, then
Mm.
each and every day is a working day for you. You never know when your
Mm-hmm.
clients are going to need you, when they're going to call you, and you always
Yeah,
have to be on your toes to serve
yeah,
them.
yeah.
So time is a very big constraint for me as far as the writing part is concerned. And that's why
Yeah.
I usually, whenever I feel like venting myself out somewhere, I usually, like do it as in the form of poetry, because
Mm-hmm.
poems are the shortest to write. I just take 2 or 3 minutes, it's fine, I finish it off on the, like on the WhatsApp itself, and maybe send it to someone. Finish, the matter ends there. But as far as writing stories is concerned, or writing, like children's stories is concerned, it does
Mm-hmm.
take a bit of time. And since I'm into a lot of ghost writing, as you know, I have to
Mm-hmm.
write stories for others.
True,
So
true.
that way, but yes, I would like to write, as I told you, that entire ghost series. I want to write that ghost series. I have it in my mind, and one of the stories is already there in this book, and that might come out in the form of a series later
Lovely,
on. Maybe I'm
lovely,
not sure when,
lovely.
but it's okay. I mean, I have that in mind. If I ever get the time and opportunity, maybe I will write. Because, again, I'm telling you, in our childhood, we had so many books of ghost stories. বাংলাতেও
So true,
ছিল অনেক ভূতের বই,
so true.
10টি ভূতের বই, 10টি ভূতের
Mm.
গল্প, 100টি ভূতের গল্প. And they were all funny ghost stories, not the horror movies of today, right? Not the horror
You know what?
movies which we see today.
My favorite ghost character from childhood is Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Casper, yes,
I love
yes, yes, very
Casper.
much, very
So,
much.
all
Casper, and
good
as I
wishes,
said,
Saheli.
Canterville Ghost,
Yes, yes. Good wishes, good wishes. We look forward to your second book on children, and this time it's going to be a ghostly read. Look forward to that, and thank you so
thank
much
you,
for being part of this show. Uh,
thank you.
but before I end, Sharanya, I know you're an incredibly talented young lady, and you play the violin. So it's been an hour and a little more than an hour, and I thank everybody who's been with us. Shorish Bannerjee has wished Sharanya a happy birthday in advance, and there says Gushbam. But Sharanya and Saheli, thank you for being on this wonderful show. Topa, thank you for coming in. Thank you, all my audience, for being part of this
Thank you,
discussion on the
Nikita,
childhood
for
joys of
doing this
reading.
discussion. It's a very, very important discussion at this hour, I must tell you, especially
Wonderful.
during the
But
lockdown and the pandemic.
yes, thank you so much. And I really love the spark of reading, the joy that you get out of reading. I totally believe has to be inculcated, and I thank our parents, both your parents, our parents, all our parents, and Sharanya has anyway dedicated it to her parents. So there's so much that we need to. These values need to be inculcated. Reading is best friend, right? Books are one's best friends.
Yeah.
And I think all three of us are nodding in unison. But Sharanya, as we leave, we would love to hear a little violin piece from you. So if you will, please indulge us.
Sorry? Oh, Kinta, actually, she has written about her violin teacher also, a poem. This sounds
Wonderful.
so great. I don't know whether you have read it or not. She has done it. Mama, তুমি ready?
Wonderful.
চলে এসো।
No, I'm just gonna. I just gotta check.
No, no, এখানেই চেক করো।
Just gonna some
Shubhoda
Okay.
says,
Yeah,
wonderful evening,
she's
Ipsita, Saheli, Sharanya. Shorish
she's
Banerjee says,
brushing up
Madam
her
Ipsita, next
violin a little
topic.
bit with rosin. Now, yeah, she's here now.
Okay. And Shori says, Saheli ma'am, you will please come next day. He wants us to discuss the present situation in Bengal. He wants a hot political debate. Oh my God. But no, let's
Please
have,
don't call me to a political
yeah,
debate,
I
please.
don't
I
call,
mean, that is something which I want to,
don't call
I
Saheli
just
and
want
me
to, keep
together to a
myself
political
away.
debate. There's going to be fireworks. We're best of friends, but politically we'll have fireworks. But let there only be music. Sharanya, my darling, please play us your violin.
about the composition is?
Excellent.
Well, composition ta ka.
The composition is called Humoresque by A. Deverock, which is a famous composer.
It was absolutely beautiful. And we are going to be ending on this beautiful, beautiful musical ending to our very lively conversation on the childhood joys of reading. Sharanya, a very, very happy birthday from the entire audience and from Saheli and myself. God bless you, my child. Like I said before,
When is
keep
Sharanya's
spreading your
birthday?
magic.
14.
14th, 14th.
14th.
So
Okay, so
keep
I'm one
spreading your
day,
magic.
Actually, it was
I'm
during
one
the
day,
Durga
like
Puja
younger
that
to
she
her
was
then.
born. It was
Oh, you're
Saptami,
15?
Mahasaptami when she was born. So
God,
her name
I
is
have two
Sharanya in
birthday
honor of goddess Durga.
so as we end, okay, as we end, I'm going to be singing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Sharanya and Saheli. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Ipshita, in advance.
Bye
Advances.
everybody.
And Ipshita,
Bye.
one thing before you end, that is, Librans are very good writers. You have to admit that.
Well, I'm a Cancerian and Gopa is an
You're an
Aries and we
exception.
all right.
You're an exception. You both are exceptions.
Okay. Okay. Big
Librans
Okay,
hugs
are
bye.
human,
to
by the
Yeah.
way.
my
Librans
favorite
human
girls.
also, right? খুব একটা খারাপ
Okay,
না।
look.
Okay, Ipshita, thank you
But
so much for the show. It was
Thank you
really,
so
really
much. Thank
lovely,
you so much,
like
Rishita.
interacting
Really
with you all.
appreciate it. Really appreciate
thank
it.
you,
Yeah, thank you.
Sharanya. Thank you, Lupa. Thank you, Saheli. I think the most important thing is spreading joy, and I think we had a very, very joyous conversation. And I want to specially thank the entire audience: Shubhoda, Saurish, Rajarshi, our mothers, everybody. Mr. Rajesh Ramnani. There's so many people. Zahid ji, Anwar ji, Shansha ji, Miss Supriya Roy, of course, Maniklal Ghosh, Santosh Di, thank you so much. Your presence, Pranay, of course,
And
Pranay,
you know
thank you
what
so
my
much.
dream is? What my dream is for her when the coronavirus ends? And next time when I go to Kolkata, I will take her and she will read out her poetry in one of the poetry meets.
Yes, she must.
Yeah.
Gopa is also
That's my dream
sending
for
a lot
her.
of claps, but let us end this show tonight and wish everybody good night. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.